Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yours.
Inside here, you get an insight and you know something, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
in a 4v3.
Everfrog Esports trying to find the angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll. We're gonna deflect. DY gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Safety gonna give themselves a big old 4K. Oh. 50's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick on the Linky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Boom! Manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the A? They get the A.
They say it's not about the journey to get to the top, but when it's not quite over yet, it is important to know the context. Moths find themselves in the winners bracket final up against Bum FC, but it's completely fair to argue that they might only be here because of a forfeit from 0907 in the last round. But like I always say, it doesn't matter the context, it doesn't matter what's on paper. It's time to show up on the night and see what can happen. My name is Gio. I'll be casting for today alongside Speg. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, you know, it's exactly as you say, right? You can only beat the team in front of you. Definitely a challenge for Moths playing against the venerable Bum FC. But something that they might be able to get done. Of course, if you are tracking the journey of 0907, you might have been looking on twitch.tv/CGL2 to watch their matchup against Falcons of Pool, but Falcons have just forfeit due to a certain player being banned. So 0907 can continue forward. We will see that run at least in that next time if they are able to get a full 5. But no, this is going to be the only CGL game here, especially in the EU Open Playoffs division. I think we could have a pretty strong game on our hands. It does feel like, you know, we'll get into this a little bit more later with Moths especially. It just depends on which roster you get on the day. But it feels like we've rolled a good one here tonight. So I think this Saturday we should have some entertainment here on twitch.tv.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this isn't something you should just write off because of either the forfeit the Moths had last match or because of Moths, you know, kind of shaky run, right? It's not been the best run for them, but again, they have Hattori on the roster, right? They have strong parts of that roster that can work. It just depends, you know, how much they bring it. We've seen the Moths play sometimes where it kind of just feels like they're just kind of playing, like not really like putting their all into these matches, but of course now it's a playoffs, like winners final. If you're not going to put your all into it now, then perhaps you never will. But this is the roster for Moths here. Of course, Hattori on the tank line. We've got SLZ and Zoro on the DPS lineup, with Jazzy and Juno, of course, in the back line. And you mentioned it earlier, this is one of their stronger outlooks as a roster.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hattori has been playing most of these matches for Moths and obviously is a fantastic tank. Obviously, you know, the crash out of Sakura Esports wasn't particularly pretty to watch, but the fact they could qualify in the first place shows their caliber. Hattori, a known quantity in EMEA, and Zoro, I think, a little bit more of an up-and-comer in terms of reputation in the scene. But in my opinion, I think he's probably the best player on the roster. I have always been incredibly impressed anytime I've got my hands on a Zoro cast. I think his hit scan is out of this world, and though he's hovering the bench, it's within his hero pool as well. I think we are going to be looking towards these ex-Sakura players if Moths are going to find victory, because those are the ones who really need to be producing output. No disrespect whatsoever to SLZ, Jazzy, and Juno, who are strong players in their own right, playing together on the Moths roster in the Face It Expert division, but there is a reason why the other two were in the absolute pinnacle of competition.
And it's worth looking at Bum FC as well and kind of considering the team that they're up against. Because, of course, they've got Evil, Tissue Baker in their DPS lineup. Tissue Baker, a very strong Genji player and really popped off in moments. You've got Jacob and Ace in the backline. But there is a kind of shining star here in Bum FC. A diamond in, I wouldn't say the rough, but golden pants on the tank line. I would say has to be EU's best Wrecking Ball player. Like, surely has to be. I can't think of any other EU player.
I would say best in purely at Borderlands. I'd probably say best in the West. You're only really competing with like Infected, I suppose. I think his impact is absolutely ridiculous. There's a reason he's hit champion. God knows how many times. And listen, even though Bum FC games often do feel like, Golden Pants 1v9, I think that Jacob's Brig is very strong. I think AES's Ana has been more than serviceable, and Evil as well can find value if given the opportunity. So I think an incredibly strong team, especially if that ball can get a rolling. Maps coming up next, take a gander about where these teams are playing. And remember, especially when you are an OTP team, this map matters a hell of a lot more. Samoa, I think as far as Moss can hope for, that's going to be about the best pick you can. It's kind of hard for the ball to scale. You don't have easy roll-through opportunities. I think this is as good a place as any to start.
Yeah, I mean, with this matchup, the constant thought's going to be in your head is, okay, when are they going to ban the Wrecking Ball? Like, when is the Wrecking Ball ban coming up? It's an inevitability, but it's a power-up you can use once. And once it's used, you don't really get much choice. And obviously, the Moths are going to have to consider, is some more going to be worth doing it? But briefly, I want to say, if you think, why do we kind of refer to Moths as the underdog here? In the regular season, they have the same match wins to match losses. They only have a difference of 3 in the map differential, right? It's because Moths in the mid-season, they just did not perform. They lost. They were actually eliminated by the Flock, a team at the second to last in the other group of the EU Open tier, right? They didn't quite get it. They very much dropped the ball. And we didn't see them up against Bum FC in the playoffs, but they have faced in the regular season, and it was a 3-0 sweep to Bum FC. So here's a little bit of time for Moths to say, okay, yes, we've lost to Bum FC. Yes, we had a really rough mid-season, but now we're going to redeem ourselves, and we're going to change the narrative because they definitely need to.
Yeah, see exactly how they can get it done. Of course, take a gander at the bans here. Ana and Malga. Ana, I believe here, being the first ban, Moss as the higher seed. Anaban makes sense. AES is fantastic at the Ana. His Kiri looks fine, but especially considering how Jacob is not a Brig OTP, but definitely a Brig specialist. Removing the Ana, especially with the bull, kind of forces him away from either an optimal backline or, a hero pick that's totally within your comfort. Malga is just a Hitori target ban. You figure that she probably wants to play it. But I also think it's maybe a bit of a missed trick to go towards the Hazard, right? Because Ana, being obviously a very strong Haz counter, now removed, Hitori can go towards that most mobile of heroes if she so chooses, and obviously can wreak some havoc with it. Obviously one of the first as well to develop the kind of roof climbing tech that we saw banned in OWCS so quickly.
It's also worth thinking about the groggy perk of Ana against the Wrecking Ball. Now obviously it's the Moths that have banned Ana, but one of the best tools against Wrecking Ball in these matchups that I have seen is an Ana hitting sleeps, having the groggy, and basically just making it a completely awful experience for the Wrecking Ball. And that's something that they could keen into later, but obviously they've decided to just ban out the Ana so they can obviously lean into specifically what they want to do here.
Yeah, from my conversations, at least with Wrecking Ball players, then Sleep Dart is mostly discussed as like an annoyance. I think the real issue is going to be the Brig. At least from what I've heard, like I said. So if you do want Golden Pants to be able to have free access, then making sure that the Brigitte isn't in a comfortable spot, either by having no Ana to, play around, or just by being banished entirely, is probably the best way in. But again, I think with Bull comps especially, they're so flexible. You've got so much personal preference about the way you decide to use it, right? Because you can obviously go towards like a Tracer Soj, Tracer Farah, Farah Soj, Echo. Like, you've got so many options about exactly how to play. And so there's no reason just to pigeonhole yourself into, I will get countered by this, I won't get countered by this. Just play what feels good, and you'll probably find quite a bit of success.
Yeah, I mean, that ultimately that's the key, right? I mean, these are both teams that have, bits and parts from around Faceit Expert, and they've interacted with each other, right? It's not like Moths are walking into this one with no clue of who Golden Pants are or who they're up against or whatever. They have an idea, and it's about utilizing that knowledge and just kind of creating a strategy from there, because obviously the victory here for either team puts them in a comfortable spot. They get to go to the grand finals and sit back and watch the rest of the teams fight through the losers bracket to try and get towards that eventual grand finals to face them. So you want to be in the most comfortable position that you can, and you don't want to end up in the lower bracket and end up facing 0907 in a elimination matchup.
Yeah, wouldn't that be pretty tricky? You'd really rather not be there. So see exactly what we are locking in, at least early on. Of course, remember, we've got those Ana and Amalga bans. With that in mind, Bull, pretty obviously, in my opinion, from Bum FC. With the Juno Brig, then you have to play very statically in main, very passively. AES is going to be dealing what damage he can, and it's going to be somewhat limited. But in exchange, you're going to be relatively hard to take down. Moths, with this Winston composition, on the flip side of things, looking to eliminate one of these squishies as fast as possible. So Jacob, AES, Evil, all going to be under a hell of a lot of scrutiny.
Scrutiny, they'll just have to work through, they'll have to power through it. As L7 will obviously be on the hunt to follow up. An initial dive from Hattori into the back line. No big follow up, but Hattori takes heavy amounts of damage and is going to have to scamper off. Meanwhile, Jazzy almost gets eliminated on the retreat also, as Golden Pants is going for the pile drive here. You can see the rest of the team kind of working and peeling for their own backline, but that Jericho able to TP. Hattori, though, can't quite get the landing before getting taken out of the sky. Golden Pants just controls the map here, and of course the DPS is going to fall off that team damage.
I mean, listen, I know the idea here with the backline, this Brig Juno, and I get why it's going to feel good in a lot of spots, but here, it's just not Ana Brig. It won't live as long. It's not this cockroach, which you can never quite crush, and it really is showing here. Somewhat improperly scaled dive from Moths, but Hattori still able to just get the tase through, and a great kill on Zoro.
Yeah, Evil do that to Zoro. That's definitely going to bring up your stocks. Hattori, though, is just going to immediately jump onto it, trying even it out, has gotten the trade, so there is room, margin for error for Bum FC to lose someone here, especially Tabakita. In a very compromised position as Jacob will eventually fall. Also means that a Juno does not have their bodyguard, and Hattori, well, she can smell blood in the water in that regard. She's chasing after EX and gets the snipe off with the alternate fire, and percentage on the board here for Moths.
I mean, with this Winston Cup, oh, lovely shot from Evil. You've got to be trading that, guys. Moths might have thrown this. Okay, they get theirs at least. But with the Winston versus the Bull, you need to find a kill early. You get this early impact, and then you stable for a bit. That's the way you typically want to be playing, but they're never given the opportunity to take their foot off the gas.
Yeah, it's been all gas, no brakes, but they're running out of said gas. Gotta go to the petrol station because right now it's all blown up in their face. The mines are up right now, creating a bit of the dispersion, but not so great. Basically, in the entry point for Bum FC, not really that much for Moths, as Hattori has went onto the Primal Rage and using that to just create a moment of breather for the Moths.
Indeed. So they finally been given a moment off, even though these rails are keeping Juno appropriately low HP. Ults coming online, much more so for the side of Bum FC than not, but using them is still going to be kind of weird.
Rally comes up from Jacob. Juno's immediately taken out. Of course, that stun, when you're able to do that, Evil on the flank with the overclock is going to be enough to finish off. They just invest 2 of their ultimates, but they still have held on to the beam here, so they're in a pretty confident spot, I'd say.
Yeah, Ray Blade is super, super powerful. Moths, if they're not in position to kite it, are just going to die to it because they don't have the ults to fight back. Bummercy took that last fight just by popping the... Oh, there we go.
Early Ray here as they just go aggressive. The Shaker holding on to the blade, keeping it sheathed because realistically they realized they didn't need it. Lots of damage just pummeled into the Moths, and well, that's not the kind of light a Moth would like to go towards.
I think we see the Ajax as well on the OC from Zoro, not given a chance to find any value with that ultimate. I mean, we're just seeing Bum FC play as like a 4-man brawl core while Golden Pants does his own thing, and it's working out so well for them. 10% left to go. They've got to figure out how to find a touch.
They do have to touch, but they don't want it to be panicked, otherwise there's going to be obvious follow-up here. They know the plate's ready from Tissue Baker. It's just about when it's going to come out. Right onto Jazzy. No more speed, no more boops for the peel. That's Juno down also, and now it's just a house of cards, and it is falling apart here at Bum FC. Once they took control, they just rotated those ultimates perfectly, and there was no real chance for Moths to get back.
They, in theory, have better ults, but I think they use them so much better. The idea to take those 2 early fights, first with the Rally OC, then with the Ray Blade, fantastic. And obviously, in terms of those results, unimpeachable. I think for Moths, as long as they don't get Bum FC, you know, set up and in ult advantage again, then they'll probably be okay to stop that from, you know, happening again. But it's something they've got to keep in mind because their comp just doesn't have the tools to do the same. I think Zoro had a bit of a stinker, you know, relatively speaking, in that fight number 1, that sub-map. And so if he can wake up into this, then I think this could be a hell of a lot closer. Back on the Sojourn, decides the Cass is no bueno, at least. See how it works out for him.
And of course they're early here as they just kind of take position. Great opportunity just to force out Tissue Baker, who gets a bit of a rough dash but is able to get back, get some of that extra overhealth as well. Golden Pants will be rolling to the back line, trying to disperse, trying to force that TP from the Kiriko. Tissue Baker goes down as Golden Pants also finds Zoro, so traded out with the both DPS here. But the SL7 goes down, and that's going to be a lot tougher for Moths to try and get something done when they don't have that Tracer following up on anything. And with the remaining members, the support line just stuck in this little boatyard, and Jazzy, yeah, has to take the easy way out.
Yeah, okay. Job gets done. I think we're seeing here time and time again that Moths, they can win these early fights, but if they don't, they just instantly crumble. It's how these comps are going to work, especially with Golden Pants already 80% of the way to a minefield. He's been finding so much value early on. The clear onto Hitori is brutal. She's going to figure out how to back.
Yeah, she took so much damage from the shurikens hitting that big monkey head. My god, Golden Pants takes Zoro down, and I mean, there's been lots of debates about, you know, can 100 people take down one gorilla, but Tissue Baker was doing just one-on-one there, and Tori had to back up and get resources to get some healing. It is trying to get onto the Juno, but the Martian can fly away, and that was just a rough fight for them.
I mean, they're not even given a chance to play the game right now. Bum FC are walking up and straight up mechanically diffing them. And Moths, there's nothing they could really do. I think a lot of it is, you know, based off of the space that these tanks can create. Hitori's getting poked out a smidge too much. Juno, this time the one who gets shot a little bit on the rough side of things, and the backline might be dead here again.
Yeah, without that Kiriko, you don't have to cleanse as well, but it's Zoro and Tori who've just decided, you know, screw it, we can sit and lose, or we can take action. And they've gotten some trades. Tori, though, was a very far in, was not going to get any help. Mines is going to come onto the point and kind of split things up a little bit as SL7 will go down to the dash, but even the rally being used from Bum FC with 20% remaining, the decision needs to happen. What are we doing here? Zoro pulls the trigger and overclock, and it's just a disaster. They're not able to get anything from it.
You need to clean disengage. That's what you perfectly need. Good kill onto Jacob. Exactly what is necessary, but more needs to happen, and it isn't. It isn't.
It's not happening. Jazzy falls to the blade. Hitori is doing wonders, to be fair, with the Primal Rage. Hitori is getting all the trades required, has just put the team onto her back and decided, no, we're winning this fight.
Yeah, I thought I saw Jazzy Ajax. I saw the beat and the blade, but I never thought she'd actually go for it. Bit of a play for her, but fair enough. We're set up defensively now, sure. We're on the Sombra, we got Poles, Kitsu. We need to early Kitsu here. It's the only play available to the Moths.
And of course, Sombra against Wrecking Ball. We've all seen this in our ranked games. It's the obvious choice. And Evil gonna land a headshot. Just chucks the post bomb up, sticks it, hits the elimination. But unfortunately, the damage had already been done, and the overtime ticker is going to fizzle out as Bum FC. They look very strong here, very coordinated. There's moments of brilliance from Moths, but the Bum FC, they're coming into this one nice and warm and nice and strong.
Yes, I think that last fight was pretty unfortunate from Moths. Remember what we said before. We really want to be seeing an early Kitsune rush. Instead, we hold it through for Overwatch 3, right? They're waiting in choke, hoping to play this extended poke phase, which in some respects, you know, you can go for, but it's just always going to favor your opponents. And so in that spot, BumFC are able to convert. Control is never going to be the best area of the map for Moths, I will say, and so maybe when we head towards like a Dorado or something else, we can expect to see them find some more value. Something you spoke about earlier was when do we see that Bull ban? And I think the really important thing to remember is whilst Golden Bounce's best hero is Bull, his other heroes are still at least passable, right? They are still going to be competitive at the kind of CGL open level, and so I think it's best not to look at that Bull ban as a free win, and more just somewhere where you can get rid of the Bull, where he's going to be the most aggravating.
Exactly, yeah. It's less of a get out of jail free card and more of stacking the deck a little bit more in your favor, knowing that you're forcing their strategy should change enough where there's going to have to be a different tank and a different way of engaging and playing those fights. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We've seen it where the Wrecking Ball ban comes out and it's tough going still. You still have someone who's cognitively able to play other tanks, right? And they're going to be able to do that. But right now they're looking so confident on this Wrecking Ball, and like you said, on Control, they're just kind of the best of it. I mean, Wrecking Ball's hit my camera and I can't even focus anymore. That's how much is getting done by Golden Pants.
High aura, what can I say? The guy's finding plenty of disruption. I don't have the stats on hand. If you ask me if he died, I'd probably say not. To be honest, he was just super free, and Moths aren't able to mark him. Not really what you're supposed to do. We're supposed to be seeing that backline die a lot, but
yeah,
we saw it happen, you know, first fight. After that, we adjusted, we played a little bit slower, and it ends up being pretty safe. So if you are Moths...
We saw Sombra come out. I wonder, is that something we're going to see more of? They're going to just keep trying to play the Sombra and just play into just disrupting the Wrecking Ball play?
I don't... Sombra has a good matchup here. I think she fits the comp that, you know, Moths appear to want to play. But I don't think Zoro's Sombra is historically fantastic. And I also think Sombra right now is pretty weak, right?
Yeah.
It's not really her meta. It hasn't been her meta since she got reworked again. And so I probably wouldn't love to see it unless Moths decide that Zoro just isn't able to click heads on that day.
Yeah, that is fair. I mean, how many times has Sombra been reworked, and this last one has kind of like consistently knocked her out? I mean, even with the COVID-19 edition of the new perk, I doubt that's really going to do much in this instance, given how far apart Bum FC are playing. But of course, now the next map, we're going to see them kind of roll into here and get a feel of what kind of bans we might potentially get. New Junk City, so we are going to go immediately to Flashpoint here. Which again, lots of open lanes, lots of opportunities for a Wrecking Ball, a Tracer, all these flank-heavy characters to be able to find avenues to kind of be a nuisance or get an engage in. So again, I feel like New Junk City again kind of plays into Bum FC, but clearly Moths have an idea of what they want to go for here.
I mean, it takes away the Suravasa pick that Bum FC would have gone towards on basically anything else. So you've kind of already removed the best map for Bull. So I think that in of itself is, you know, somewhat of victory. I think New Junk City, whilst there's plenty of angles, yes, you have these like, long gutters to roll through, these tracks where the Bull can really accelerate, reach these fireballs and actually impact. Instead, you're kind of forced to play more around the flashpoints where, whilst you're not weak, you're having a harder time at least getting to a contact position.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe that's the idea. We just don't want to go to Servassus, so get that out of the way. force that out kind of in the way that you protect the ban, protect the map. And if that's the idea, then that's really smart, you know? Because obviously, you're right, Sarasa much better for Wrecking Ball in that Flashpoint thing. So perhaps that's the idea, just try and take those maps away from them. Try and do as much as you can to play into their weakness. But also, when I see teams over-invest into emphasizing weaknesses of other teams, sometimes they forget to play into their strengths. And I'm concerned that could be what happens here if Moths don't kind of recognize what makes their team strong and their players strong and kind of play into that rather than kind of playing counter to Bum FC.
Yeah, I think that's partially true, but I think when you're playing these one-trick teams, we are doing something slightly off-meta. Your own strengths, if you're a one-trick team, you're used to everybody playing, a standard style. So it doesn't really matter if somebody is good or bad at a certain element of it, not really, because they're still playing a style that you're used to. Whereas Moths, they've probably got some experience playing into a ball team. They're still going to have to adapt on the fly to what they are seeing out of their opposition. And so that ends up making the whole playing experience incredibly odd for them. And so they will end up, shifting a little bit more than maybe otherwise they would. In my personal opinion, I think we want to see Hitori stick on less mobile tanks. Generally, I'd say Winston isn't her wheelhouse. We want to see Zoro on a hard hit scan, and we want to see Jazzy on the Lucio, because as I recall at least, it is her favored pick rather than the Brigitte. We saw it the last time. Hopefully it's something that we continue to see for the rest of this playoffs.
Yeah, obviously we won't see it here, but I always remember the first time I casted Tori, and it was Reinhardt. It was Overwatch 1. It was a different time period where Reinhardt was a choosable character on the role, and that's what I remember Hitori's bread and butter being the first time I was kind of introduced to her as a player. And obviously she's went leaps and bounds from that point. I'm talking like old like a bedroom A51 org type deal, but obviously Hitori is ancient days. Obviously Hitori since then has went to incredible new heights and is a player that now a lot of people recognize as a strong tank choice, a person who can really bring it. But you are right, the Winston there did seem a bit choppy, and there was moments where it was taking a little bit too much damage before the engage, but it was times where she could pop off, where she could go in with a primal rage and find opportunities there, which kind of played into her strength and her play style more. So it's kind of like, juggling that kind of aspect.
Have to wait and see. I feel like this game is taking a hot second. Unfortunately, players are somewhat deliberating, which isn't ideal, right? In the meanwhile, of course, in terms of your recent OWCS news, it has been pretty frequent, right? Nightmare dropped their team, signed a new one of ex-Timeless and Rad players. Obviously, Kelix is unretired for the 14th time. He's on Alcazia now. We're seeing some tank, hodgepodge, I suppose, in EMEA, where everybody's dropped, everybody's picked up. I think Ice was recently announced towards VP, Tread to Peps. It's all about the play. So if you happen to enjoy Rostermania, now is absolutely your time.
Yeah, fun time, right after like a stage is obviously Rostermania. We get to see like what the next stage of it will look like. What I'm looking forward to is those recently promoted teams. Both teams in EU promoted from Masters into WCS. That's what I'm looking forward to see. But of course, we've got a game right now, so let's have a little look to see what these teams are going to be banning as it's time to get rolling. And see what they will bring now. Obviously, Wrecking Ball is going to be targeted. Genji's going to be a target. If you want to try and mess with the Brigitte Judo backline, there's a few kind of keen heroes they could choose to kind of mess with the individual players of Bum FC.
Yeah, it's going to be somewhat funky. If I'm Moths on this map, I'd probably ban Brig. To be honest, I would have banned Brig to really help you punish the backline. That seems to be your game plan, but they want to move away from it. A Genji ban? I guess it's a good pick for Evil. It's just a target ban, I think is the best way of describing it. Protects their DPS as well, if they thought Bum FC were to move towards that. If I'm Bum, I'd just ban Lucio. Jacob's not going to play it. Jazzy really wants to play it, so that's what I would do at least.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I mean, we saw Lucio get played there, and of course those boops are good disruption as well, especially against high movement characters who are going to be looking to get in and kind of mess with you a little bit. Okay, they're actually going to go for Juno here, right? Okay. Interesting.
Well, this is, as you might be able to tell, another target ban. I can only hazard a guess as to who they think might be affected by the ban on Juno. You know, let me know in the chat if you've figured it out without the app.
Hard to tell, but of course we will finally be getting into this matchup. Genji banned, Juno banned, but of course, you know, now you can play Mauga and Anna as well, so those are back into it. Perhaps maybe that's why they went for the Juno ban, also less of a target, but also more of we want to play Anna, we want to go for that, and in that respect, you know, I agree with you. Banning Brigitte means, okay, well now if you go Anna, you have to choose a little bit more of a riskier backline, where the Anna's maybe a little bit more vulnerable.
Yeah, it probably will be. I almost expected to see like an Anna Lucio setup. We saw that obviously in more the first half of the EMEA season, but it doesn't seem to be that in right now. Moths are playing their comfort pick of the Lucio Kiriko, Bum FC, now Juno are out, are just on the Anna Brig. It's going to be incredibly hard to shift. You've got nade cooldowns to play for, you've got sleep cons to play for, you've got good poke, you've got decent nano targets, and we'll say, I really liked the Sim Torb setup actually with the ball, but instead Evil's just on the cast.
Yeah, Evil on the stay in the cast, of course. Tissue Baker, a very strong Genji player, can't play that here. It's been banned, so Torbjorn, very strong pick. A little bit of Kovac, same training for Zoro there against a big orb floating in the sky. And of course that cast nade can temporarily disrupt Golden Pants, but it's about timing it and you get a good time there. As they're just kind of blinking away from afar. Hitori's going to be entering the fight here with Javelin Spin, but Zoro been left a little bit alone there on that angle. Now Hitori needs to be backing up. Golden Pants taking a bit of damage there, but continuously you see Moths, they don't have that punching power of the Cassidy anymore, and they're feeling the pain of Evil still being in this fight.
Indeed, yeah. Just finding so much value. We've got to back out, guys, but instead, point not unlocked, and we're still just hemorrhaging frags.
Yeah, Jazzy falling, they wanted to engage. Juno does find Tissue Baker, so right now it is a bit of an equal playing field in terms of player numbers, but Hitori gets booped immediately, forced to use those cooldowns on the back foot again, and obviously the more protracted you make this fight, the more percentage Bum FC you're going to get, and Hitori falls over from the constant pressure being applied, and now they're just going to have to go back, and they've given away 30, 40, 50%.
Yeah, I think the Orisa probably wasn't the best look. I think the Queen is much more likely. You've got the knives to disrupt. It's kind of harder to get poked out, relatively speaking. Zoro on the Sword instead of the Cass is also going to get poked out a hell of a lot less. I think this is better. Is it good?
Oh, the nano onto the pile drive. Ace did have to go in a bit of a compromised position to do so, so it's actually heavily backfired. Too much risk with too little reward, and Moths will be able to get control of the point.
Yeah, I didn't expect them to go that early, actually, because there's no way that there's ever going to be anybody else in position to capitalize there, right? Golden Pants slams, he shoots, he does his thing, whatever. But who else is actually there? The Nana Boost apparently not enough to secure more than one frag, and so the flip in favor of Moss for the first time here on New Junk City. Your ults as well for the next fight are not that bad. Double support ults, it's already will need a peel though.
Sunny Rush comes out, Evil did use the High Noon. We've got the rally as well, lots of investment here early in the fight, and they've only just about found something with us. Evil hits that clean headshot to SL7 as they are hitting these shots, and Cassidy real deadly at this range, 80%, and you've got some people hiding in this corridor, and you know that they're about to get hunted out this hole like it's a rabbit hole. Dynamite getting sent in there practically, even without an Ash. But Zoro, you can't underestimate this player, which is part of what we've been talking about. Hitori elsewhere on the map is going to get a good rampage, turns it around, and they get back in control.
To be fair, Evil did make the push with no support. Golden Pants was there momentarily, but you really can't be committing to the fight when your balls just went off to the other side of the map, right? So a pretty easy 1v or 2v1 rather, given to Zoro that he's more than happy to capitalize on. 10% left to go. Golden Pants will of course have a touch, but is there any more than that?
Yeah, Golden Pants being forced to be on point is going to limit what they're capable of doing. Molten Core is going to be a really good ultimate for just splitting up this point, but the beat is immediately met by Jazzy. Allows Hattori to go aggressive with the Carnage. Doesn't find anything yet. Zoro low HP, but coming up to overclock, which might be vital for this fight if they are unable to find anything in the neutral game here. As you see, Golden Pants and Shaker both on point, but now it's just Fish in a barrel, and they're up against a railgun, and there ain't no amount of evolution that's going to happen in just the moments of a fight where Fish can do anything against
what
it.
about nano
Evil. Yeah, they went for the nano. I think the idea was just get the damage reduction, the extra health, go on point, but even that was not enough against the extra energy with the perk that Zoro chose for their ultimate.
Yeah, as well as the numbers advantage, you know, walking into the superior angles, that don't help too much either. So first blood drawn here for Moths. Their first point taken in the series. Hopefully that's a trend they can continue. And, you know, you look at the ult situation, it's not too bad for them. Kitsu, Rampage, as long as they don't die to their mines, they're in pole position to take first blood here on Vents.
Golden Pants didn't get a lot done with that spin, was looking for the impacts, as the mines is going to split Hattori off, needs to drop to the low ground. However, they will be contesting a point nonetheless anyways. You see Evil finding Jazzy, SL7 trying to chase them away, trying to get some sort of return, but the big rally, I mean, will go down, plus with the pulse bomb damage. Tissue Baker, however, on point, getting all the limbs to clean it up there with the help of their turret also.
Torv's a fair and balanced character, guys. Just pretty easy 3 Ps for Tissue Baker, that turret, getting all the work in the world done, and a high turret being set up. Oh, that's just so nerdy. Like, it's going to be a pain in the ass to break, absolutely, especially for a tracer like SLZ. Remember, they've still got the Rampage, though. You can only, like, full shield it or sleep it. This could cause a lot of problems here for RFC.
Tissue Baker immediately gets hit with that Rampage, will use the overhealth from their ability to stay alive. However, lots of trades coming back and forth here. Zoro going down at 90%. Overclock could be a nail in the coffin for this one for the Moths. They are still in it, however. Shout's going to keep Hattori up momentarily, but still they can't get too much done. SL7 finally finding Evil, which is going to alleviate a lot of that side pressure, but the characters coming back, and of course now Bomb FC is going to choose to just back up.
If you're Moss, really you should be pushing this, in my opinion. I know Bummercy can reroute incredibly quickly, but you need to be finding an elimination sooner rather than later. You don't want this bull to have time to scale. If you can force a brawl fight that they are going to lose. Golden Pansy is doing his thing, but no value bounties yet.
Yeah, Jazzy just dies. Isolated and alone with the follow-up of the Tracer as well from the side of Bum FC, and now they're just one by one taking them out. And with 75%, this is going to be a tough one to touch for Moths.
I would say probably impossible. SLZ can try to, but it's going to be tricky at the best of times, especially with the rest of your team only respawning and now. So it would literally just be, you know, get OT and go into the battle, and indeed no touch will come through. So able to be tied up 1-on-1 here on New Junk City. Mines, a bit of a worry here for Bum FC considering Jazzy's record on the AJ so far, but if she can get that cast off, it's still probably a lead for the team in blue.
Yeah, they have got positioning on the point already, so that's what Bomb FC is going to have to contend with. Carnage, fine there, but of course they're going to be just looking to get lane. I love the Junker Queen against the Wrecking Ball. There's so many tools you can use. Perfect Gracie is going to force the nade defensively from EES, which is all you can really ask for from a Gracie usage. Golden Pants is actually going to find Zoro. Very late beat there because Zoro didn't get it, but SLZ is just shredding the side of Bomb FC right now, and they're going to be able, off the back of that play, get control and get into a bit of a comfortable position.
Going for the stick on the ball is always a little bit risky. It can be hard to judge about exactly how much HP they've got left, but it's a relatively easy target to connect to. And obviously with Jacob on that Lucio rather than his favorite Brigitte, you know, swapped a couple of fights ago, the backline just doesn't have that same survivability towards the Tracer. So great work. Now got the Kiri, obviously, see how much difference that makes.
Nice Suzu there. Jazzy definitely would have died without it. But of course that resource has been forced, so Juno's gonna have to be careful that they stay alive and get this Kitsune rush off. Evil is hunting. The Tracers have done a fairly decent job with these pulse bombs. Of course, Hattori is probably going to be thinking, do I need to rampage here to at the very least stay alive, as she is hugging the wall, getting the healing from the Kitsune rush, and from the Kiriko in the Kitsune rush. That was a great carnage there. Tissue Baker falls to it as the headsman is hunting. 20% remaining here, and Golden Pants will probably get a touch, but I doubt any actual end.
There's just no point, really. Like, AAS still coming back on that Kiriko, just won't be there in time, and yeah, no touch. So both of these times, the last two at least, we've seen the flashpoint just tick through uncontested, right? You get up to the next fight. Beat is so important. Jacob has to live there, else Hattori's rampage is going to be free, and he's down.
Yeah, no Jacob, no sound barrier, and Bum FC gonna have to recognize that they might just have to give up this point at first if they don't find anything in the neutral here. Hattori is getting punished by a lot of damage here, but both supports still up for Moths. Mines here from Golden Pants goes right onto Juno, forces both Suzu and TP. Doesn't quite know where they went, so Juno's going to be alive for now. Zoro falls finally to the damage there from those molten bolts of Torbjorn. Sound barrier here keeps Juno alive just about, but with the Suzu push, that's going to be a boot right into the mines, and that's not something you're going to survive without any of your abilities, and Bum FC went out the fight.
I'm not sure what the vision was with that rampage. That fight seemed pretty clearly lost to me, and into a Kiri Lucio backline, it's not going to find all that much. You know, maybe the beat is out from Jacob, but hardly a win considering what power that ultimate has. Moths kind of knocked the 6, honestly. Bum FC, choke control, ult leads, Evil already scaled. This is so great.
This is looking dangerous here for Moths. Suzu didn't quite stop the pulse bomb. Pulse bomb just found air, but Zoro's just getting hit up. Both Zoro and SLZ on super low health, and with Zoro going down at 60%, that's kind of rough because you're looking for the overclock to try and turn things around. SLZ is going to have to pull a rabbit out the hat right now, at the very least. Kitsune Rush available, and of course they know it, they're going right after Juno, forcing these abilities, putting them into a compromised position. But again, it's one of those situations where, is it worth going for the touch here? You still have the lead, you don't necessarily need to, but Hattori will be going for it nonetheless. Zoro flying in, overclock is being pulled here, Molten Core on point to try and stop the touch, and the overtime ticker ticks away, but they do get the touch in nonetheless. Zoro going very aggressive to get Jazzy, but it was all for naught in the end. And the Kitsune Rush also did not find its value, so now they're just going to fall one by one as it is equalized here on New Junk City.
Yeah, Bombers, you do have to spend for it somewhat. There's going to be a very slight lead for Moss. That 10% between the Rampage and that sound barrier, they're going to have to absolutely cling onto as we move towards Refinery. An SLZ Pulse Bomb early on would be absolutely fantastic, but you've actually got to connect it so far. Haven't really been seeing it. And in terms of strong targets as well, there's really just Tissue Baker, who you'd really love to get that thing connected onto. Try and scale onto the backline. That's going to work out basically for free.
Oh, well, I mean, don't need anything when Joe's just going to fall over. Now SLZ just desperately... Oh, what a stick! Forces the recall there. SLZ thanking God that they held on to that ability. But, I mean, to be able to stick onto a Tracer mid-Tracer duel, that is not an easy feat. Nonetheless, Bum FC are still able to get control of the point despite these trades.
Tori is back though. She has a Rampage. She probably will know the beat isn't there. Huge. Two people connected onto, but it just won't matter by the looks of things. The HP is still low. They are down resources. You can still push this.
Yeah, it was a bold move, but there just wasn't the bodies on the side of Moths to get good follow-up. Of course, the Suzu had been used. It was the perfect timing for a Rampage, and Hattori's just going to fall over to the ult fire of this Torbjorn, who's just going to burst any tank down, especially Queen.
Indeed. I mean, this is getting to be very, very tricky for Moths. Unfortunately, Jazzy hasn't been having the best series of all time. Trades probably going to favor the Moths. But Golden Pants, again, already scaled, and this time he's got mines.
Batman looking for a criminal on the streets
Oh,
and Jazzy. Oh god, finds himself victim. The Caped Crusader of Golden Pants. Tissue Baker just waddling onto point there. It's not going to get too much done. Kitsune Rush is able to come out, but Hattori is scrambling to stay alive, but the mech falls apart. The Baby Diva goes down with a hammer kill from Tissue Baker as an exclamation mark to push the issue. Bum FC put themselves in the position of match point.
Didn't take them too long at all. Obviously, the individual flashpoints ended up, going back and forth. But how they actually felt, in the terms of the fights, I don't know. I was always a hell of a lot more worried about what Bum FC would be doing, and I think we see why. Anytime they get set up defensive, then it feels like they are impossible to be shifted. It's like trying to grab a fistful of sand, right? They'll just flow throughout your fingers. And I will say, I know I mentioned it, during the mid-map cast, but Jazzy, unfortunately, has been going down very early, quite frequently. That final fight, for example, she's 99 to beat. Imagine if you could bring that particular check mark through into that battle, but instead, Golden Pants, all he has to do is slam on her head and remove the Lucio. So a certain amount of yes, that is Golden Pants being fantastic, but also we've got to be figuring out how we're going to be rotating our backline, because if not, Moths are perennially playing from a 45 position.
They are, and like you see Golden Pans perched up on this roof, just hiding there, being able to use the fact that you can hold space and kind of bring yourself up there. There was no way for them to know that Golden Pans was going to be so aggressive as to be right outside their spawn. And you're right, Jazzy was coming up there at the last minutes. He was using beat in the slow motion as the match was finished, but obviously it's not going to help. You talk about how it felt like sand through their fingers, and that's true, because they find themselves in the desert right now. They are in much need of an oasis, because it's match point. They're going to get sent to the lower bracket if this continues, but they've got a short break to kind of come together, figure out what's happening, and I guess this is now the situation where it's like, okay, are we going to let the mental get to us and lose, or are we going to take it a step forward and get this reverse sweep? Well, find out after this short break. It's in the trenches for the Moths right now. It's 2-0, and, well, they very much need to go back to the drawing board. Jazzy getting spawn camped, Hattori getting taken out. Right now, it's just a bit of a disaster for them, but they really need to find something. There's something out there in the universe that they need to find, and right now it's looking like it's probably not going to happen. The Bum FC just look completely in control and in the driving seat.
You could say the Moths maybe need to find the light at the end of the tunnel.
Nice. No, I like that. That's good. So he's learning. He's learning.
Yeah. But no, it's been pretty rough for them. Yeah. I'm not gonna say it's purely Golden Pants sitting there and doing 20k per 10, but it does somewhat feel like that, right? It also very much feels to me like the members of Moths aren't activated yet, because I mean, I think they're all strong players, but we've yet to really see them in a position to actually find that output. So, cooling themselves down a bit, running it down again, and hopefully things will work out a smidge better for them. Maybe some comp adaptations as well. I assume this is where we're going to be seeing that Wrecking Ball ban on something that, like, I don't know where you want to take it, to be honest. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Either way, I would absolutely hope that pick and bans are done at this point. So, we should be able to take a look at what they've decided to go towards.
Okay, well, shocker. It's Wrecking Ball being banned, and the response is like, well, then you can't play Lucio. That's not allowed. So, nothing out of the ordinary here. Moths are down 2 maps. If they weren't going to ban Wrecking Ball now, there was a chance to get 3-0'd without ever banning Wrecking Ball, so absolutely understandable. And of course, we've seen Jazzy consistently playing Lucio, so this is to force them off of the Lucio, and perhaps maybe we see more of the Juno Brig then, or kind of like a maybe a Brig Anna. Of course, we don't know what the map is yet, so it depends on what we see.
Indeed. I mean, the Lucio ban is pretty targeted. Jazzy, unfortunately, not allowed to have too much fun today. Runa Stappy makes sense as a pick. It's a pretty good ball map. Again, you're removing all the maps that are good for balls. So if it is, a chance for a reverse sweep, then Bum FC don't have fantastic choices for it. I'm trying to remember exactly what Golden Pants does here. I'm sorry, I can't for the life of me recall. I remember his Sig is pretty good. His Winston was good, but then he said he didn't want to play it for... I don't remember which reason, at the very least. But assume he's relatively flexible move. No, God, no.
No, they don't? No, okay.
Not in this day and age.
True, yeah. I mean, it doesn't Wrecking Ball this day and age, but Golden Pants does it, so, like, anything can happen.
Wrecking Ball's rare to be played. I think the thing with Wrecking Ball is that he's such a skill-expressive hero where you can always get away with him. Whereas with Doomfist, you just get ruined too much by, like, any sort of CC. Basically not in power punching 5 people every fight. So I think it's been a while since Doom has been proper strong. Not since, feels like the start of Overwatch 2. Speaking of starts, Malga on Hattori for the Moths. One of her strongest picks. And Golden Pants on the Zarya. This could be tricky, but if he gets ramped up to energy early on, only has the bubble to stay active, then it could be a snowball too large for the Moths to try and break.
Yeah, it's all about the timing here from the bubbles for Golden Pants to get the energy up and basically make it worth the pick. Of course, Bubble going to go immediately onto Tissue Baker, who can go a bit aggressive without needing to use that deflect to do so, and can deflect on the way out. As Hattori sees an opportunity, just slamming her way into the back line, but the Brig going to keep alive momentarily as Jazzy's getting utter vengeance as they cleave through and take out the side of Bum FC.
Evil does get a trade, but Jazzy finishes that fight with a 4-piece. Fantastic work on that Brigitte. Considering what the previous 2 maps were like for her, then I think you'll take that, as a bit of an ego booster, if nothing else. Golden Pants just decides he's going to play the mirror, and fair enough to him. You aren't much behind on ult, so you're not in a bad spot whatsoever, but it is still momentum in favor of the side and blow.
Of course, the mirror here are definitely outback Hattori in this fight, I would say, but it's what Golden Pants can get done with it. We will find out, as Evil needs to be just cowering behind the marker here as they get to low HP. They are high on charge, but Golden Pants is low on health and needs to use the cardiac overdrive in a defensive manner, but it's still not enough because the damage is just superseding what they can do in terms of defense.
Yeah, it feels like this is Moth comp. They are a smidge more activated now. They are on this Malgamira, right? Golden Pants also has no idea what to do. He's on his third hero in as many minutes. And, you know, we spoke about how behind they are on ults. Now it is going to be a real problem as Zoro can escape safely then. We're heading into this cap. They've already got the forward spawns, and they can go for a flank OC for this fight.
Satori is half HP, but look at this flank here. The OC hits it. Evil takes them out. Golden Pants goes down. And right now, Bum FC, it feels like the bum's out. They've been caught with their pants down. And the question is, we're going to see a 4th tank pick from Golden Pants?
I assume not. I don't see what has changed since the last pick in this one, other than Zoro just hitting a bit of a clip. You know, showing that he is still alive. He can still compete. And that's only one check mark. Moths, I assume, wants to go for something like a Cage Blade in the upcoming fight. There's the Cage. Ray needed.
Yeah, Ray comes out and Hattori survives just about, very low HP. Tissue Baker does get bashed back by the rally, and SLZ goes down. Zoro playing Tissue Baker, Hattori getting Jacob, and Evil trying to get something done, but that orbital ray from the side of Moths is their guiding light. And they are able to continue to push forward as they look to potentially fully capture this match. If they get that stagger, it's over for them, I think. But no, Golden Pants is just about getting out there.
I guess it's because... Wait, what is that? What is that?
Whoa! Yeah, rally used, but immediately gets pushed into that room. Tissue Baker will fall. It's a bit of a chaotic fight right now as the Terror Surge is going to come out. AS going down as a trade, both Junos off the board. As you see, Jacob needing to back up there. Golden Pants winning
We're still getting
Jazzy.
distance on the bot. It don't matter that Jazzy's dying. We're at 125 meters.
Exactly, in the chaos of the fight, it is continuing to be Moths who are getting progress, but finally, it looks like the bot is in control of Bum FC, at least for now.
That it shall be. But what a push, right? In 6 minutes, you also basically completed the map, right? You've got ult lead for this next fight. As long as Hattori doesn't get poked out like she did the last time with this K. Oh, you can just kill Evil. Fair enough.
Yeah, a good supersedes Evil in the end. Hattori takes them out looking like a superhero. And of course, immediately Bum FC, they find themselves in the back foot, which is basically where they're beginning to get comfortable being since they've been on it since the start of Runasapi. And yeah, this is about what you expect to see.
I mean, it's a bit of a blowout, to be honest. It was so competitive, you know, on that map number 2. But Hattori's going to cage them in spawn. There we go. Evil's not allowed to play. And that might just be the completion coming through even.
Yeah, they're so close here, and with Evil going down, Hattori just presses the issue. Jacob actually falls to the charge there. Bishwick goes down. Unless Terra Surge can find some wonderful magic, then they will full capture it. And we talk about finding stuff, finding magic, right? That was more than just, oh hey, we banned Wrecking Ball. That was a new energy from Moths, and it's so important for their momentum, and probably their mental, let's be honest, that they got that win, and they can try and continue this journey in reverse sweep. But the question is, without the ability to ban Wrecking Ball, have we done enough of the map picks to kind of curb that, you know, side of things?
I was pretty... Listen, I'm still a little bit in shock, right? I mean, that map was shorter than the break we just had. It ended up being a bit of a speed run. And Moths, I think, having a little bit of wind in their sails will be probably more beneficial than having first pick ban, all that kind of jazz, right? So I think that they've maybe given themselves a foothold. But it's also going to be pretty easy to break to slip because Bum FC, when they actually have that ball, are still pretty much in control. And this time, they've got a lot more ability to steer the pace of their game by, you know, having that first ban, having that map pick. But remember what I was speaking about through these other two choices. They've been systematically removing everything that Bum FC kind of could play. So they've got to go hybrid or they've got to go escort, no? Neither of those are fantastic for ball, I would argue at the very least. And so I think that Moths have set themselves up pretty well to get this reverse sweep maybe popping.
Yeah, and perhaps that's been the game plan all along. You know, play for long and know that, okay, they will have the advantage in the first couple matches. We don't actively throw. We're active, we try and win. but we know that they're going to potentially have an advantage at the start, so that we can have an easier end. And maybe they've been conserving energy in that regard, right? Maybe they've been trying not to dump their adrenaline too early, so that they can go hard in the latter stage of this match when they have perhaps more of a map advantage. So is this the long game from Moths? Have Bum FC been figured out, or was it a fluke? Those are the two possibilities, and there's apart from just speculating, we will find out in the next map, I reckon.
And that should be coming relatively quickly, right? We are just waiting on the teams to debate where they're going to go. Well, what you do. You know you're playing ball.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So we just heard the map from a producer, and we've both been a little stun-locked. It's Gibraltar is where we're going to go to. That is obviously lots of high ground, obviously lots of dive potential. And I mean, there's decent rollouts for Wrecking Ball here, right?
I mean, it's okay. But most people who I've spoken to would typically say that they don't think Jib, Dorado, that kind of thing is that great for ball, because your actual scaling has to be very predictable. It's very hard to have the high uptime that you're really looking for. Instead, you have to go for kind of coordinated hits with the aim to kill somebody in one cycle. But if you're doing that, then you can just play Winston. So I assume we're going to be seeing a Winston ban out of Golden Pants to force like a poke phase with like a diva, and then you go like hit scan, hope you out mechanic them. That's my gut feeling at the very least. But this is a very strange ban here. I think Bum FC are just kind of going for what they personally enjoy playing.
Yeah, and you know, is there harm in it? Maybe, but you know, you gotta play what you gotta play, and I'm sure they have a plan, right? They're not just going to be choosing that randomly in a winners upper finals. They have something cooking, and I kind of like what you kind of hinted at, the Winston ban. That's a good idea. It like takes that off the board, and then Hattori has much less options on Gibraltar. So yeah, I reckon I agree with you. Like the Winston ban makes sense here.
Yeah, I think it does. See what they actually decide to ban, though, as they follow through. And I believe it's a Kiriko that has been banned out. So everyone's
yeah.
I'm not sure about that one. I'm really not certain about that one. This is just not a Kiri area of the map or game, I suppose.
Yeah.
I guess if you're Juno specifically, then you could be thinking that they're just very like to play it. Maybe we like seeing like double flex out of Moss, but for their ban, they I mean, what do you do at this point? Just like comfort ban, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they could try and target a character of Evils or Tissue Bakers, and Widowmaker. Okay, Widowmaker. Perhaps they just want to take off that sniper option so they can play, you know, other poke options there. So I can get behind that one. You know, obviously you see Widowmaker a lot in Gibraltar, so that's a perfectly fine pick.
I think it makes sense. Zoro doesn't love playing it, as I recall. Don't quote me on that. And I think that now backline bans are protected with the Kiri ban. Now Golden Pants is only going to play ball, and ball's now gone. You can only ban DPS, and how many DPS would you ban on, you know, Jib? That's really going to change the game. The answers that probably end up being like Widow, Tracer, Torbjorn, very arguably, right? There's not a crazy amount you can do. And so I think the Widow ban is kind of making the best of a bad situation. The really curious thing is how strong the Kiri ban is actually going to end up being, because, like I said, Kiri's just not all that common here.
Yeah, I don't really remember seeing a Kiri in a while, at least on Gibraltar. Maybe they just wanted to ensure that it was going to be an Ana in that backline. So, you know, maybe they've got some setups there that are going to go with Nade, and they didn't want it Suzu'd. SLZ. Zoro on Cassidy here. Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like, would Sojourn not be better here? Or am I just kind of like out of date?
It's a personal preference thing. Soda's better at living. On this area particularly, Ashes play more, you're on longer sight lines. You can use Coach to deny monkey dives especially. I guess you're using it for the ball slam here. And you've got more consistent uptime, right? You can dynamite their cart a lot more, so it's very strong. Is it better? That's still personal preference.
Oh, well, Tisha Baker immediately answers the danger of playing Ashe is if you don't hit that dynamite, then Genji is going to be a big danger for you. And with those immediate eliminations, going to be sending Chassis right into their own backline. Doesn't follow up yet, but finds them on the upper side of things, getting absolute ping-ponged around the map there, but very good control so far in this first point for the Moths.
Yeah, I mean, we need to find more than just a singular trade back. Tissue Baker down, yeah, that's nice, but we need to find a solid stabilization. Otherwise, Bum FC are going to keep on their momentum from maps 1 and 2 and cruise their way into a 3-1 victory.
Again, they're in this dugout, they're in this server room and can't quite get breached without being ready to do so with the resources. And you see Hitori trying to force it out. Juno and Jazzy have been separated momentarily, but of course the nature of having a Briganana means that it's going to be survivable. Hitori going down though means, well, that backline of Bum FC is completely free. The rally, yeah, the rally pushing forward in a vanguard-like move, and they will clear it and push forward into second point.
It's about as fast as you can realistically cap first point, right? About a minute 30 seconds, considering you got the opening kills just 15 seconds into the map. Then Moss, they haven't even been given a chance to orient themselves on Gibraltar, and they're already pushing the second phase of the map. Dude, Hitori's just getting beamed. She's got no armor. She has to stable for a monkey dive, but good lord, it's just so tricky to even, you know, get on her term to play the game.
Yeah, it does not feel fun to play the punching bag, and that's what Hitori has been a bit here as the Wrecking Ball gets to just play. I believe the shield blocked that anti-nade, and well, the mines in that small encased spaceship will follow up, and the damage, of course, as June's going to call Hitori wilding, trying to find something of this primal rage, but realizing she's by herself.
Yeah, I mean, nice mechanics, but we primal in like 2v5. It's just not going to work out, as we are indeed seeing here. And if you're Moths, yes, you've still got the Nano, you've got a Bob, it's not the end of the world. The Bum FC just can't stop winning by the looks of things.
Late here, opportunity for this to be a nice clean push on point 2 without a single fight lost. The Bob is going to stop the push, but I mean, they're already fighting in the sideline of Bob. That was nasty. Tissue Baker, he's such a strong Genji player. You can understand why Genji got banned at one point in this series. Yeah.
SMZ just got folded like a piece of paper. Origami, even. That was kind of disgusting, but hey, they're still keeping the record clean. Ara, Bum FC. 4 minutes, almost 5 on the time bank, and things are only going to get worse because you're getting late kills onto Zoro. I mean, moving from strength to strength, as soon as they get there, one trick back, and you really can't hate them for it. You've probably got mines in the next fight, Rally for sure. Moths, you need an SLZ stick onto Jacob specifically. That's the only thing that's going to find them any success.
Oh, and Hitori pops like a hot air balloon in the sky there, and it's a disaster as Moths just lose person after person in individual moments. Well, Good Sleep onto Golden Pants does actually get a bit of trade back, but they continue to just hemorrhage players. They haven't won a single fight here. They are just on the back foot. All momentum that they gained from the last map has faded away completely.
Yeah, I just don't think Hitori's Winston is really up to code right now. They got a touch, his mind's down, this might be the end of Moths here.
Yeah, especially with Evil completely free on the high ground. And that's a 3-minute 51 time bank on Gibraltar. Moths got dog walked. That was brutal. There wasn't a fight win for them. They didn't win a single fight. And most of those fights started with someone being randomly picked off. You'd think eventually you'd learn that lesson, but Bum FC, they're not having any of this nonsense about momentum or reverse sweeps or anything. They've come here to win. They haven't come here to play games.
I mean, they're also playing games while winning, right? Like, let's keep it...
Well, yeah, they're literally playing a video game, but...
No, it's been pretty unfortunate, right? There's not really any silver linings we can say. It's not like we're losing every fight, but there's somebody finding trades. We all look pretty disjointed. Zoro's dying early. SLZ isn't killing anything. Jazzy and Juno are under constant siege that they can't seem to escape of, and Hitori seems to be playing on, unfortunately, a totally different tempo to the rest of her team. That Primal Rage on that second point jumps to mind. 2v5, rips it, finds no value. 2v5. Maybe in this 40 seconds they can, catch their breath and figure out how to salvage something out of Gibraltar. But unfortunately, folks, it seems like we might be nearing the beginning of the end here for Moths. Remember, the lower bracket still at least beckons for them. But that's about the only thing we can say that is positive. That's the only thing we can say for the Moths, and losers finals now beckoning for them.
I know I tend to be the mug of, the cup of positivity, but I feel like they've just spilled all over themselves. But Hitori begins to clean it up as Evil goes down, reminiscent of the attack of Bum FC. So perhaps they're bringing that energy right to them, and they can maybe get something done. But they seem a bit all over the spot. Hitori's continuing to pressure the Brigida, and eventually that shield will crack and the health will fall, and this is exactly the energy we needed to see from them. Zoro 20 ES, meanwhile Tissue Baker's actually found 2 of them, so they've not quite made this clean, and it's not as swift as they maybe thought it would be.
I mean, the opening kill, nice to have, but you kind of need to get 2 of them. Unfortunately, it doesn't really end up happening, and so we are back to this default. No one really to catch off, but Moss at least established on the high ground for free.
Yeah, they're controlling this blue box here. And Hitori on this Diva is going to be working to get those boops off as well, displace the members. Those micro missiles, so much damage, especially onto Cassidy and Brigida. Tissue Baker, though, meanwhile, finds Zoro, who kind of like Golden Pants is seemingly on their own and finding eliminations like a hitman with a target, and Bum FC continue to look pretty strong here. AES in a very good position. It's finally going to get forced out by Hitori. Does fall, and the point does finally get met, and enough time, or maybe they can get control of the spaceship and keep this rolling.
I assume you can, especially with a stagger kill onto Tissue Baker. Finally some life in the side of the Moss, and now they got ults as well to start rotating. There's, in theory, a smidge better than Bum FC's, and so you should be able to just jam them at the choke fight after fight. But one thing we have been seeing from the Moth is a lack of proactivity. Here, again, it may well be rearing its ugly head.
Proactivity is what is needed here, but it's taken by Tissue Baker, who gets the nano, pulls the blade. SLZ is trying to turn it around, but slept up. Hitori does find Ace, so there is at least follow-up on the damage, and Evil actually just walked up alone against the Genji and got taken out because of it. Hitori taking Tissue Baker out, so continues to look strong here for Moths as they push this cart.
Indeed. They're going to continue to find what progress they can. SLZ going to be cleared momentarily, as Genji can't stick around with that. Where's that Ray?
I don't quite know, but AES went down to the damage of the missiles, the torpedoes being sent their way. High Noon did find purchase, but not an elimination purchase, as Evil just continues to blast in that damage. Takes himself out with the flashbang. Oh god, let's rework it again. We can't be having that. Zoro's going to be forced to recall here. Golden Pants pushed back into spawn. 4 minutes 14, the time bank going into third. And okay, good. Moths are not taking this line down.
So finishing with a better time bank is technically possible. It's very, very hard though. But finishing with something comparable, that is well within the realms of possibility. Mines could be easily cleared with the bomb, or just instantly tossed out to clear a corner here. You could bring this into one fight just using an ult.
Yeah, and I'm liking the Diva much better from Hitori than the Winston. Getting a lot more done with it, and can peel a bit more.
Also a better hero for us.
Well, yeah, definitely. And Zoro finds himself packed in there and will get taken out. Just got walled up and basically entered a UFC fight. Okay, Evil, you hit those? Yeah, damn. And now finally getting a little bit of momentum busting on the side of Bum FC.
Yeah, low-key bit of a goof there from Zero getting caught out into that 1v2, but also great work from Evil on that May. 2 great walls, 1 lovely headshot as well. That is a fantastic piece of work stabilizing Bum FC, and it has been from these defensive positions that they have been the strongest. They found their footing, see how they push off of it.
I'll drive there into the back, and the blade gonna be what follows up. Tishbaker does help take Juno down, but this rally is going to just get merked by the blade and the wrecking ball, as again Bum FC are putting pause to this push, and of course now that time bank is less than the side of Bum FC. What a predictive slash as well from Tissue Baker.
The walls that have been thrown up from Evil that was so annoying. This Blizzard already online. I mean, you've got slightly closer spawn, so you can walk up until about the corner for free. Hitori obviously on her favors has it now for the first time this series, but there's a nano boosted ball.
Oh, that wall right into the nano blade messed literally everything up for SLZ. Evil has just been playing essentially an off tank, creating that space and just splitting up this as Zoro just has to take the L. This is beginning to look like that strong Bum FC we're used to.
I mean, we were talking about how from these defensive positions, the Bum FC appeared to be the best, and that doesn't seem to have changed. Time back, half gone, 2 minutes, slightly over, now remain, and we're on to our third composition of this egress. Will it be any different to the other two?
Didn't get that tech off the wall, didn't get the pile drive, but did get the mines off in the sky. The Lupins immediately just pummels Zoro 6 feet under, and with the blizzard there, it's going to fall off the fact that Evil went down. So again, Bum FC winning it out, and Zoro's again not quite. Sorry, Tori's not quite sure what tank to be playing here, as the Muga also does not look to be working in.
Indeed, I don't think the Maug is the choice. I like the D.Va the most. I understand the Mei is annoying for you, but Tissue Baker, Evil, off those heroes again. Maybe just play the council games in as much as you can. This time, though, they've got a Ray fight. It's unmirrored. They should be able to just convert off the back of it if they can scale actually up to the Brawl corner like you're looking for.
The Tissue Baker is looking to be the one that ruins it. Of course, Blade's going to be much harder to get off if there is a beam. So they're going to have to be aware of that. The nano ready though, so perhaps that's what they're just going to go for. And if it's the initiation again for Bum FC, then they can just take them by surprise. Golden Pants is actually the one who gets the nano there as a pile drive in. Zoro goes down. Hitori's cut off, but Jazzy is the one to find 2 eliminations onto both supports here. So no healing for the defensive side. And Jazzy again enters that kind of primal need to get vengeance and gets those eliminations off the back of it. Tissue Baker and SLZ having the anime battle on the side here as well.
You put double supportals. You need to force a brawl fight really fast.
And they're going to do so, pushing in, but it's hard to brawl when there's a big blade slashing through your entire team. Slam there to try and take Tissue Baker out. The orbital raise, the main thing keeping Moths in this game, but they have not found anything with it in terms of eliminations, and Tissue Baker is just gone to the next step. They have evolved here, but I mean, Jazzy comes back, boops them out.
10 seconds.
Overtime about to get tech. We do need to see something here. SLZ does need to bring it up big, but AES brings it up bigger, sniping them off the point. This is not going to be easy. It's practically a miracle required. Tissue Baker actually taking Zoro out with the deflect of their own overclock. And this is just a slow bleed here from the Moths. Overclock comes out for Evil, and this is the multiple last nails in the coffin for the Moths in this match, as they are sent into the lower bracket as Bum FC very comfortably place themselves in the grand final spot where they can sit back, relax, and watch the rest of the other teams fight to get towards a chance to beat them.
It seems like a bit of a challenge for anybody bar maybe 0907, right? I mean, the quality of overshooting out of Bum FC seems to be really up there. The issue is when they're off the ball, that's for sure. You know, the difference between, for example, your Runasapi and your Gibraltar, I mean, stark, right? But I mean, especially in that grand finals match where you can only ban a hero once, you're playing, at least 4 maps. That's not a lot of weakness to have, so a hugely scary team for either of the two rosters who may well face them in those EMEA Open grand finals. But for Moths, at least this isn't the end of the road yet. As we've mentioned a couple times, that losers bracket match against 0907 is on the cards for them, and it's going to be necessary if they want to continue forward here in CGL.
I mean, yeah, it's obviously Moth's story doesn't end. They have more chances, but the fact that 0907 still are in it, and they only got to this point because 0907 FF the playoffs match, it doesn't mean that Moths are now in the lowest bracket. They just have to beat whoever's there. They can get back to Bomb FC. There is still a demon down there. 0907 is going to be causing issues for everyone left in that lower bracket. And if I'm Bum FC, I'm predicting that if there's no more FFs, that's probably 0907 that will be against us in the grand finals. And if I bring my memory back to the mid-season, 0907 are one of the only teams to have beaten Bum FC. I believe it was 3-1 in the winners round 2 of mid-season. And then obviously 0907, they're the mid-season champions. So in that regard, they should be the favourites. So Bum FC, yes, they should be comfortable, but they shouldn't be complacent. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's typically a thing you don't want to be. See where we're at securing our interview. But we're going to have one. That's for sure. So we are waiting for Ice Schmuck to appear so we can pick their brain before we kick them to the cup. By the way, there are going to be some NA games happening today. I might sneeze, so bear with me while I do or don't. Oh,
yes,
wow, this is
Eddie. Oh god, he's on the verge of it. There he goes. Okay. Yes, there will be some NA games, of course, today. Obviously, keep an eye out on the announcements and such for that. But we are going to go to a brief break while we wait for whoever it may be in the interview. Hey, we might never get an interview. We might just come back to say goodbye. But we'll be right back after this short break. Sometimes when it's written on the wall, you probably should follow its commandments, and that's what's happened today. Bum FC in a very comfortable position after their 3-1 win over the Moths, and they are now in the grand finals, patiently awaiting whoever will step up to the challenge. But today, we have one of the players from that winning team. We have Jacob in for an interview. First of all, hello and congratulations.
Hello, hello. Thank you, thank you. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, first of all, I mean, I feel like we all kind of know what the answer to this question is going to be. Is did you guys at any point have any concerns about this match, or did it look as confident as it seemed?
Well, we actually didn't know there was a roster change, so we thought it was going to be a quite easy match, but then some very talented players got put in for that game. So we did have some worries, especially about the Malga. We were very scared about the Malga because we have never really been good into that Malga comp. So we're just trying our best to avoid that most of the time.
Yes.
I mean, for me, I want to ask. Obviously, Hitoris are both, on paper, very, very strong players. But it felt like this game they didn't really have much chance to have a lot of impact. Can you talk a little bit about why it maybe looked that way, how it felt playing against them?
I mean, playing against them, like they can do their thing, but obviously we're just taking a lot of angles. We're playing our comp. We're comfortable on it. We've practiced against very good players before. It's not our first. It's not our first rodeo. Yeah.
And then my other question is, obviously, you guys definitely struggled when Golden Pants' ball was banned. I know he's been working on his other heroes. Do you want to comment about, what it's like when you don't have that ball, or do you want to keep those strats, kind of sealed?
Well, he's got a very good monkey in him, but obviously on the map that we've played, we didn't really get the chance to pull that out because it's not a very good monkey map, and they're just playing Malga Brawl, running at us, straight line. Really can't really do much. So we're just trying a little. We haven't really practiced that much, but it's okay to lose a map to win the next. We have map pick, go to somewhere we're more comfortable on, play our game.
Exactly, yeah. And talking about playing the game, I think we all kind of understand that today you didn't face 0907 purely because of an FF. And 0907, they're still in play. They're the team that beat you in the mid-season. Looking at the grand finals and who's going to be facing you there, is it 0907 you guys are concerned about? Do you have any tricks in the bag? Or is it another team? Like, what's your thoughts going into the grand finals in terms of the opponent you might face?
Well, the biggest problem's probably hero bans, because that's how they took us before. They were just kind of like taking a map at a time, just banning one of our best characters. Then we'd had some struggles, but we've been practicing since then, got a bit more flexibility, and since it's best of 5 in the what is it? First of.
It's first of 4, so best of 7.
Okay, yeah, best of 7. So obviously we're gonna have more maps, then we're gonna have more chances to play all of our main heroes and our main things. So I think we'll do better off than we did last time now.
Exactly. You can only ban Wrecking Ball one map, Genji one map. You can only do one map for each, and you are so right. In a best of 7, there's quite a lot of maps, so you're gonna run out of bans, and that is going to be something that whatever team it is that faces you in the grand finals are going to have their mind on. All right, before we finish up then, do you have any shout-outs or call-outs or anyone you'd like to mention on stream?
Shout out to Joropy, that's our #1 fan. He's our day one, been there since the start, right to the end.
Oh yeah, you got to have the fans supporting you. You got to have that support. All right, before we send you off to the grand finals, again, congratulations for the win here. We'll let you go back to your team, enjoy and celebrate, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you. Bye guys, bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Well, there we go. Another dime, another dollar, another day, another match of Overwatch here in CGL. And my God, I looking back on season 15, it's not over yet, but it feels like it's went so fast. I don't know if it's just because I'm Unk status now and I'm older and it just feels like all time goes fast. But I mean, the fact that the finals are right around the corner is crazy. I mean, I do know one thing. Obviously, we've got the EU match, any matches later today, but I want to talk about the EU match tomorrow. is an EU GM finals match. Now, I want people to be aware of that because there's a team which is the best team, and there's a team that shouldn't be in the finals. If you've not been paying attention to the GM tier in EU, BX, Bliss Excelsior, are a team that weren't even in the mid-season. They really had a lackluster regular season, but they've just found magic in the playoffs and they've blasted through. They've beaten their better org team. They've beaten another team that straight up shouldn't have, and now they have a chance to prove it wasn't all a fluke. So that tomorrow is going to be a defining moment for Bliss Excelsior and the GM tier in EU, so definitely have your eyes on that. But obviously later today we have some NA matches.
Indeed, we do. We've got one game of the Masters Division, one of the Diamond Masters Division. Today is going to be Sort of Skill taking on Low Ground Main. That is going to be winners finals matchup at 8:30 p.m. EST, sorry. And in the Diamonds here at 8 p.m. Eastern, we've got Cuddle Puddle versus Death Blossom. So both those games will be streamed if they take your fancy. I think, Moshio, for us, that's sort of everything.
Yes, so all that's left is to say, you know, thank you for Rhino and Cry for running prod and making us look good. Thank you, Spec, for joining me today and making me look partially smart. And that is it from us. My name is Gio, and don't forget to laugh loud and love yourself, folks. Good night.